So as we move into the Halloween season, are you telling people that they really have nothing to be afraid of?
Yes, I am. Except for maybe eating too much candy. Yeah. That could be a problem. Yeah, there are things that are happening in around us, as we've discussed in the spiritual realm, that you need to be aware of or know that takes place. But to be afraid, no. Now, we've taken Halloween. I mean, next to Christmas, Halloween is the blockbuster time of year to spend money and decorate and things like that, and that's really intriguing to me. And I know that there are a lot of people who come from a Christian background that really try to veer off of Halloween, and yet, I have worked Halloween Horror Nights, and we've also created an event as part of the church ministry called Face the Fear. And as I've thought about that, I think it's so important to understand that we don't need to be afraid of those things that we can't always explain or can't understand, but also not to attach value to something that doesn't need to have value attached to it. So I'm fascinated when I walk into a Spirit Halloween store to see what kind of things they have concocted for the year that are just, most of them are just gross and weird. And I mean, I've seen nothing like that in the course of my 39 years of life, and I've watched and I look at people react to that. I mean, sometimes they're just gross, and that's gross isn't scary. I don't think
it's just gross.
It's just gross. Bloody is not scary. It's just gross. And in my role as pastor, I've been around life and I've been around death, and I've seen things that are not pretty, and I've been with people in some real dark places at times. But this time of year, there's nothing to fear. There's nothing to be afraid of. I think for each person, it's their own level of what am I comfortable with? What am I comfortable seeing? But I can promise you this: if you watch the 18th Halloween movie that's going to come out this year, you're not going to turn off the TV and be possessed by Michael Myers looking in your window. That's not going to happen. Friday the 13th has had I don't know how many films. There's a monster you can't kill. That's not real. That's not going to happen. So, I mean, there's just some stuff that we go back to what we said, even one of the earlier things, it has to make sense. If it doesn't make sense, then, don't try to make it something that it's not, and remember that. And then, for the most part, don't put yourself in places that you're scared of.
Right.
I mean, if it's going to be scared, if you go out in the woods in the middle of the night by yourself, I promise you, left to yourself long enough, you probably will end up being afraid of something, and your imagination is going to do something far worse to you than you would do to yourself. Fear, by definition, is false evidence appearing real. Spell it out, and I think for the most part, that's what we see. Things that are not really happening. We misread it. It appears real. It's not. There's an explanation, and I think we need to look to find them.